presentation at a community engagement on national cohesion and inclusive participation in governance, organized by NCCE/National Security Project on Secessionist Movement in Ghana on the topic National Security Strategy, the National Framework for Countering Violence, Extremism, and Terrorism in Ghana, with emphasis on preventing violent extremism in Ghana. Yeah, the topic in itself appears a little self-explanatory, but let's first understand what it means by national security as a formal definition. We can simply say national security involves the survival, protection, safety, well-being, and contentment of the people. Therefore, national security threats can be defined as totality of factors affecting the survival, the protection, the safety, well-being, and the contentment of the people. Just like I have said, the survival of each one of us here is a national security issue. Our protection, where you live in your home, issues surrounding your environment are national security issues. Your workplace, the environment in which you work at your workplace have national security component in it. Your safety, not just safety in movement, even food, the food you eat, either imported, locally produced, or whatever, has national security interest. Your general well-being and contentment of the people. I will dwell a little on contentment here. How we all feel as a people have national security interest. So then, if in a community somewhere, the people feel threatened and they don't feel content about a certain situation, it is an issue that should bother national security. And therefore, national security will always take interest in such situation and attempt to find solutions to it. All right, let's make progress. At one point, I will be linking my talk to the Western Togoland or Western Togoland Restoration group that has sprung up within our environment. The ever-evolving scope of these threats, risks, and challenges demand a comprehensive and dynamic new orientation. The concept and management of Ghana's national security, hence the formulation of the National Security Strategy in 2020. Just last year, the year 2020, national security in this country, the couples at the top, sat back and analyzed the evolving threats in the world, in our sub-region, and in the country, and decided to come up with a new strategy on how to handle national security issues, where they have laid emphasis on certain areas that interest us most, that when attention is paid to, we will have a very peaceful environment. So we will be looking at the mission of this strategy. The mission says The Nss mission is to engage in a whole of government and a whole of society-orientated approach. That's the first part of the mission. He said the mission is to engage in a whole of government and a whole of society-orientated approach. So therefore, as a government, they have come to the realization that national security objectives cannot be achieved without involving the society as the bigger stakeholder. So national security has been redefined, the mission, to encompass our society. When we talk about our society, that have to do with all of us seated here. We represent ourselves here and a certain group or association. Some are assembly members, some are representing youth groups and all that. All those are associations and they form part of the society. National security strategy has come to realize that we cannot achieve our set goals, set objectives, without bringing the society on board. The people we seek to protect must feel a part of the mission, so that when you are called upon to provide whatever information that you possess, or when things are happening around you, you don't sit back and say it is the business of national security with the idea of the institution that you know sitting somewhere. You will begin to see yourselves as a part of the system, and your involvement will bring peace and harmony in our various community. So after this engagement, we will all begin to assert our authority and take up the responsibility of assisting the framework to work and work better than we know of, so that we don't always sit back and blame a certain institution, but we also see ourselves and accept part of the blame because we have failed in providing the necessary information from which intelligence is derived. It is the information that you bring across that will be processed to arrive at the necessary intelligence that will cause our country to be a peaceful place to stay. So all of us have a take in what happens around us if we will have to achieve national security in totality. The second part is with a harmonious blend of human and traditional security guarantee the national security and stability of Ghana by promoting tolerance, national cohesion, and unity of purpose. That again, we have moved to where our priest, Father Stephen, provided us in-depth knowledge and understanding to. That is national cohesion. How to blend all this together will help us achieve the objectives of national security. Above all, we must be tolerant to divergent opinions and views. And those, if we are tolerant, we will use the laid down rules in expressing whatever grievances that we have without fear or favor and with respect to the laws of the land. Okay. Let me go over Asmuth, which is the first part of the mission. which is to engage in a whole of government and a whole of society-orientated approach. All right. Yeah. The purpose of this engagement, we will focus on two of the threats, namely terrorism and extremism/radicalism. We have been brought here to undergo this course and also understand certain things that are happening around us, especially the activities of Western Togoland or Western Togoland restoration. So we will first understand what terrorism is, then we will come to extremism and /radicalism. Okay, terrorism. The definition says simply as the unlawful use of violence, intimidation, especially against civilians, in the pursuit of political aims. Let's have a retrospective reflection to the video we watched. We realized from the video that something happened in Mozambique, and suddenly civilians were running here and there, their vehicles were being bent here and there. That is exactly what this definition is trying to portray to us. That when that happened, it is usually against civilians, mostly, and the political system. So let's look at some of the terrorist groups that we have heard of. The video we watched was about the Islamist insurgency in Mozambique. And they had two motives in doing what they were doing. We watched the video without knowing the motives for which they did what they were doing. One, it was an Islamic group who were bent on overthrowing the established system in their country to establish a kind of Islamic state. So, first and foremost, they have the ambition of bringing about extreme or the extremist Islamic rules in that country. So, that's their first agenda. The second agenda is to control the oil-rich areas within that country, which for them they think the foreign powers have taken over, and therefore they should overthrow the political system and control the oil-rich regions. So all their fights are directed towards where they have oil and also where they can get civilians so that the government will feel it most, the international community will feel it most. Usually when you have terrorist groups, they fight for two things. It's either religious, or let me add one, religious, economic, and political. It is not always political. When it becomes political, then it means they want to overthrow the time-tested, laid-down governance system in their country to restore the extremist Islamic system. Everywhere it has been the Islamic. The Al-Shabaab in the Eastern African countries. Shabab simply means youthfulness. So the group Al-Shabaab is made up of a group of youth who have misunderstood what jihad is, Sharia is, and are bent on overthrowing their governance system so that they can enforce Sharia rule on the people. So their attempt to overthrow the system One is to have their own set system of governance. So they also have set down objectives. Let's come to Nigeria, where we have Boko Haram. The Boko Haram feels that the Western system has so much infiltrated their country, education, religion, and whatsoever. So therefore, they should overthrow that system and preach what they call Sharia and restore Sharia rule in Nigeria. So their fight started with economic in a way, but has evolved, and now it is about establishing an Islamic state. So everywhere you see religion, and you also see governance. These are the areas that come to play. So they also have their set motives. Yeah. The extremism can simply be defined as holding of extreme political or religious views. I think that's what I have just explained. So these people always have motives. Like I said, I will be coming home soon. The broader definition is activities that are not in accordance with norms of the state. So when they get themselves into activities that are not in line with what the state has agreed on, and they do things that you and I reasonably will not agree with them. So terrorists always will want to do things in the opposite way, against what you and I reasonably will agree with. Fully intolerant towards others, reject democracy as means of government, and also reject existing social order. So you realize that all their activities have no place for peace. Terrorists have no place for peace in their activities. It is all about what to do against the existing order, just to attract attention. So you hear people worshiping in the chapel, a group of people mobilize and they go there only to blast the chapel, to kill the worshippers, just to draw the attention of the governance system or the government of that country or that area to the fact that they exist. And when they do this, they go out there happily to broadcast, yes, we have done it. Shamelessly. You kill your neighbor and you are bold enough to just go out there to hit your chest. Yes, we have done it. And they are proud that they have destroyed. So all their activities are geared towards destruction here, destruction there, demolition there, and crisis all over the places. It gets to a point where they themselves even do not have food to eat. Not just those they are attacking. Now they begin to attack people just to get food, to feed themselves. When they set out, they lose all sense of judgment. They lose all sense of reasoning. So they go out, and after destroying everything, they sit back and they themselves become stranded and do not have a place to go. That is all terrorists are interested in. All right. Extremism often begins with radicalization of individuals, groups who tend to become opinionated, dictatorial, indoctrinated to believe. Adherence to the doctrine often render them dogmatic and stooges for manipulation. Terrorists don't just wake up one day and they call themselves terrorists or they become terrorists. No. As we are here now, just like the Western Togoland started, they started with lectures, study groups. Then they call a group of people to a place. They said, we want to give you the history of how we started. So they started orientating them, giving them their opinionistic understanding of what the history of Ghana is. Giving them a lecture that will make them fall in line with their beliefs. So then they go there, and when you ask any reasonable question, they tell you that is not why we are here. They just want you to follow their dogmatic teachings. You learn what they teach you and not what you will want to know. So you continue with them for a period, and at a certain point, you yourself, you become so corrupted in your understanding. You don't believe in any other thing apart from what the leaders tells you. That is how terrorism starts. So then you get to the point and he will tell you, take up arms. And you are ready to take up arms. You get to the point and he said, take this bomb, blast and blast yourself. It's the leader who has said it. You are ready to do it. You have lost your sense of reasoning. As a result of the teaching they have offered you. As a result of the, doctrine that you have learned, you have lost, excuse me to say, your own senses as a human, your dignity as a human. So it all is about their teaching and their teaching and their teaching and their teaching. So when you enter into argument with any other person and the person says, no, my brother, let's look at it in the other way. Say, no. If you go there, I will take it off it. They are ready to pick up weapon against you. Because it is not part of what they have been taught. So they become so dogmatic. And when they become so dogmatic, they tend to become stooges. They don't reason themselves. So go here, they are going. Go there, they are going. Come here, they are coming. Do this, they are doing it. When the person is cornered somewhere and you are, why did you do this? I don't even know why I got myself involved in that. That person can only listen to the leader. They have lost their sense of reasoning and judgment and have become so dogmatic to the system. So that is how extremism starts. That is how terrorism starts. They don't just start one day. So, assuming our brothers have not been quelled or have not been forcibly suppressed, other nations that have this terrorist group who have started taking interest in them. The next moment, with our porous borders, you see them entering, trying to locate them. One person comes around with heavy money. He said, who is the leader? He said, I am. Where do you live? Oh, I live in that shed. What? That is not a place for you. Let's put up a mansion for you. The next moment you have a mansion. The next moment you have a meeting place. They don't tell you why they are sponsoring you. They give you all you want. And when you are falling flat for it, they now tell you, do you now know that the people are cheating you? Do you now know until we came you have nothing? Do you now know that we are those who have made you who you are? Then the man goes to tell his wife, do you hear what my friend is saying? It is true. Then the wife says, but don't you know? Until they came in, did we have this? No, we never had it. Whatever he tells you, do it. So the man is leaving and he places a bundle of money on your table. And he said, I'm going, I'll be back in a meantime. In a meantime, he comes with another colleague and he said, oh, this brother will be with you here for some time. So now, they begin to infect the people around you. So they sponsor them, their children's education. They said, oh, how much is it? Oh, 1,000 Ghana. Oh, 1,000 is a peanut, take it. 200, oh, it's a peanut, take it. And you don't know that a foreign power somewhere, a terrorist group somewhere are sponsoring them to get your attention. So they develop you up to a point, and they make sure that you become so orientated towards their ideology to such an extent that you don't see anything good in your governance system any longer. You don't see anything good in your societal norms and values any longer. All you know is what they are impacting on you. So you fall flat and they begin to manipulate you. Attack here, attack there, attack here, do this, do that, do that. Have we sat back to think about how our brothers suddenly, they live in our communities, most of them who are farmers, could suddenly get money and travel wherever they want to go, attend meetings in Ho and come back, go to meeting here and come back. And when they are going, they don't go in the manner we know them. They come back and they want to preach all over the places because they have somebody somewhere have given them a certain level of tuition, a certain level of orientation, and all they know is what they have gone to learn. You see, Ghana as a democratic state have our way of doing things. When you remain in the remit of the way of doing things, nobody will have qualms with you, and nobody will arrest you. Assuming our brothers have remained with press conference, going to court, presentation of petitions here and there, and fighting their cause within the laid down rules and regulations of the country, nobody would have arrested any of them. They would have been peace-loving people championing a belief that you and I will either agree with them or disagree with them, but we live in peace. Until they cross the red line, no security arrested any of them. And where is the red line that they cross? They block major roads in our various jurisdictions. What an audacity. Have we become so lawless that a group of people can just wake up one night, one dawn, and decide no car should go towards the other direction and no car should come from the other direction because we have lost our sense of responsibilities and judgment? No country will look on at this stage. Attack a police station, shoot a police commander, pick a police, enter the police armory, pick weapons, enter police vehicle and drive it away. Where in Ghana will that be allowed? Let's take it that that had happened anywhere in Ghana. And you sit here, will you have agreed with the system if they don't go after them? Nobody would have accepted that. If that had happened in Ashanti and they don't go for them, you and I will cry foul. And if it has happened in the northern region and we had allowed it to go, nobody will cry foul. Why is it that when it happened in our jurisdictions, we want them to go scot free? The next moment, it will not be entry into the police armory. They will be targeting the national armory. They will be targeting the artillery stations where they can get more powerful weapons. So when these things start happening, the people have crossed the red line into the act of terrorism. They were no longer a civil and law-abiding agitating group any longer. They have crossed the red line, and they were in the realms of terrorist group. And so therefore, the action of the security is justifiable, and we should commend them instead of condemning them. Coming to sit down with them is another thing altogether, but at that point, there was no need sitting down with any of those defiants. The action must be measurable and appropriate so that nobody copies it anywhere in Ghana. So the action of security in tackling the Western Togoland by causing the arrest of the leaders and those who broke into the police armory and drove police car away and all that, blocked roads and all over the places, was justifiable. And we should rather be commending them for not allowing this unlawful behavior to go. That is the other side of it. Coming to sit down with them, what are the grievances in the first place? I talked about Al-Shabaab and told you what they stand for. I spoke about Boko Haram, what they stand for. The Islamist insurgents in Mozambique and other places, what they stood for. What do our brothers stand for? What are the driving forces? What is their demands? In not too distant weeks ago, Christian Council, National Christian Council, in collaboration with the Volta Regional Council, the Peace Council, held meetings with them at here and there, and the grievances were as follows. Volta region is underdeveloped. That is the first grievance. The second grievance is there is a certain documentation from 1956 which says that at a certain point, Western Togoland can become a country. Let's get understanding of what Western Togoland is. Many of us have misconstrued Western Togoland to be the Volta region. The answer is no. Western Togoland involves the whole of Oti region, the northern, the Bimbila area of the northern region, right down to Upper East region. Nangode and all those other areas are part of what they are fighting for. So the country our brothers will want to create is not only being created for our people in Volta region, they are equally creating it for some people in Upper East region. How unreasonable is that? They are equally creating it for the whole of Oti region and part of northern region. But we hear of it in the Volta region because this is where their activities were very much pronounced. It isn't because the organizer didn't lobby the other regions. They went there. I was in Tamale then. In Upper East, they sacked them and told them they would not want to be part of any country. Right down, it was only Bimbila that they got attention in the northern region. Because they got attention there because there were these tribal conflicts here and there, and some other groups thought that they should belong somewhere. So they came back without getting the support of all those places. They came to our land here and decided to do what they want to do. Forming an association is everybody's right, but the association must operate within the remit of the law. If they had met and called our fourth realm of the states, the press, to come and cover it with a press conference, a petition, filing of a case in court. If there is a documentation from 1956 that gives you such powers, go to court and enforce it. Have they ever gone to court with anything to present before any court of law? No. Beyond the rhetorics of there is a documentation, there is a letter, we have a letter here, we've had a letter there, and we have a letter there. They haven't been to any competent courts in our jurisdiction to seek for redress, for the court to have thrown them out. Then we will have a cause to say the court refused to listen to them, or the court didn't listen to them. So, brothers and sisters, these our brothers are in our country here, or they are in our region here, and they say, let us create a country out of the country Ghana that we know. Even with this, I know people here who will not agree with them. Should they rise up that this is how they want it, the people in the Volta region themselves will fight them, because they are not ready to belong to any other country than the country they have known and were born into. So nobody forces a country on another person. You go through a referendum, whether the people will want to be part of the country you want to create or not. You don't force it on them by declaring independence. What impunity. And you go and declare independence, and you think people should sit back and watch you with that declaration, though it is of no effect. You must be brought to book so that nobody goes out there to repeat that behavior. How do we achieve the kind of environment we want to create for ourselves? Now we know that in our West African countries, or the West African sub-region where we belong, Ghana is the only most peaceful country that we have. Day in, day out, there is influx of other West African nationals into our sub-region because they don't feel safe in their country. Should we accept them, or we should guide against the peace we have and tell them to stay in their country and fight for their own peace? Those coming, how are they coming? What are they carrying along? Have we asked ourselves the question of whether the people belong to the rebel camps and they are coming in? Of late, Nigerians are making Ghana their home. Nigerians are making Ghana their home. Malians are making Ghana their home. To such an extent that now it has become daily operation in our border areas to arrest and repatriate these people in the face of all kinds of challenges. Assuming they had peace in their country and they are coming, we shouldn't be bothered. Now they don't have peace and they are rushing in. Probably some are even warriors who have realized that they are no longer safe in their country and they want to make Ghana their home. Now they are coming, they will be humble. Let them stay a week or two, and you realize that they have found a home, and therefore will want to do all kinds of things. So it behoves on you and I to look at how we can help the state to resist the attempt of these people who day in, day out rush into our country through unapproved routes, quote and unquote, unapproved routes. I know some of you will not agree with me that they come through unapproved routes, but let us accept it as it is. Yeah. So to be able to achieve the kind of environment that we're looking for, devoid of terrorism and extremism, we should have community surveillance. Community surveillance. Most of you are assembly members and youth leaders. We should play our part as good citizens so that when we see any movement of people in our community, we don't attack. We report to the appropriate authorities for actions to be taken. You go back to the groups you are representing and let them understand the need to be watchful. The kind of people who rent rooms in their homes and in their vicinities should be a bother to them. So that in all, we can fight against the infiltration of these groups to have a peaceful country that we all crave for. Formation of neighborhood watch committees or watchdogs, neighborhood patrols. The assembly members, in collaboration with the assembly, can have a certain set of bylaws that will allow you to form these neighborhood watch committees with the assistance of the police so that we can watch over our various communities and achieve a peaceful environment. So here, when you pick any information on any person you are not comfortable with, you should go to the nearby police station. There was a question about reporting, and I will address that question. Yeah, so that at the end of the day, we will have a peaceful environment that we crave for ourselves. Let us create awareness in the worship centers, churches, and churches and mosques. It should not just be for preaching of the gospel of peace, the gospel of love, and all that, leaving our doors ajar. Reverend Father was talking about how watchful he is whenever they go to the chapel. And I was happy that he brought that aspect out, because all of us must be equally watchful, not only at our worship centers, in our schools, but also in our residential environment, work environment. When you see somebody going around and you don't understand the person's mission, you don't attack. You call, please, what are you looking for? I've seen you move here, come here. Is there anything we can do to help you? No, I'm just moving around. Move away from our environment. We don't need you here. You do that with all due respect. You don't fight the person. Where you think you cannot do it, you call the assembly member, the unit committee chair, the chief of the area, the town. You draw the attention of the security to it so that they all assist you to flush these people out of our community so that we can have a peaceful environment. Bringing my delivery to a conclusion, I want us to take notice of these numbers so that whenever we find ourselves in distress, anytime, any day, we know who to call and where to call. With this number on the board, I will want to start addressing the question of when you report a case at the police station, your identity is revealed. The police numbers there will lead you to the police headquarters. When you have a complaint and you don't feel secure, reporting it to the police within your jurisdiction call any of those toll-free numbers, lodge the complaint to the national headquarters, and it will return to the commander here as a directive. That is one way of resolving it and protecting your identity. You call the toll-free number to headquarters, lodge your complaint, tell them everything you know. And after doing that, they will not reveal your identity to the police commander here. They will call on him, investigate, and report. So it solves the problem. It solves one aspect of the revelation of informant's identity. So you can use that method. Another method you can use to resolve that problem is that not every police officer in uniform qualifies to take information from an informant. Take note. Every police station have the commander and the CID boss. Make these two people your target when you want to pass on sensitive information. Look for the police commander and give it to him. Look for the CID boss and give it to him, and your identity will never be blown. But when you meet the constable on the street, you meet the sergeant by the barrier, you meet the inspector, and you begin to tell him about some sensitive information you have. I'm not saying they reveal it, but you may not have 100% protection. Then you, the person reporting to the police, must equally be watchful of the things you say after reporting. You report an issue and action is taken, then you meet your friend. Yes, I said it. I said the police were on their way to arrest him. They have come to arrest him. Then the question, the other person asked, what does he know about the arrest? Is it the case that he went and reported it? So by blowing your own horn, you have given yourself up. When you want to become informant, let what you tell the security remain with you and the one you tell. You don't even come back and tell your wife. You don't know the day you fight and out of anger your wife will Bema Benedis Inchuka wana Kenje Sigwe Sakuli Sala Kaka ko ever do police ogbo Kaka ko ever do fi Kaka ko ever do. So you should be mindful about what you tell the people around you if you want to be a good informant. Whatever you tell the superior should remain between you and that person. When action is taken, even inwardly, you feel happy you have achieved something for Mother Ghana, but you don't voice it out. I remember some years back, I was with operations, and when we finished work and the next day I'm coming to work, the moment I reach the gate, a colleague will be like, Charlie, they are discussing you on radio. I say, oh, don't mind them. Don't mind them. My wife is unaware that I'm part of what they are discussing on radio. We went to do some work somewhere, and the next day they were discussing it, and it was like the leader is about 26 years old, when at that time I was more than 30-something years. When I came to office, he said, you see, you will not grow fat, and you see the age they are giving you. Yes, but that person knew about it because he was part of it. My wife was listening to the same discussion when I was leaving home, but he was not aware I was the one they were discussing. So keep your mouth shut when you want to be a good informant. Okay, thank you. Yeah, let me add one thing again. My brother asked something about having a problem with the police, and when it is about the police, you don't get results. You see, know that, what do you call it, unit, that is PIPS, Police Intelligence and Professional Standard Bureau. is a unit within the police service. You don't need to go to Ho to get results. When you have a case and against a police officer and you are not getting results, not just the police, not having a case against the police officer, but a case at the police station, and you are not getting results, you go there and you realize that you are not being treated fairly. Put pen to paper and address it to who? PIPs. And you will be surprised, within a week, PIPs will arrive in your jurisdiction. They are very effective. And every police officer do not want to have a case that will go to PIPs. Okay, so take notice of it. You don't throw your hands in the air and make it seem like there are no ways of resolving it. There are always ways of getting results. Okay, so when you have this situation, just put up a petition and address it to PIPs in who they are based in all regional capitals and the national. And you can trust me, within a week, a delegation will arrive in your jurisdiction to investigate your case for you. Okay? All right. Thank you very much.